What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So the results of British Grand Prix, the first men's open bodybuilding show in the post-Olympia tour, that is now in the history books. So as predicted after the prejudging, it was a comfortable win for Michael Krizo. So he punches his Olympia ticket and he will be finally back on the big stage after a gap of 3 years. So Michael Krizo is so good and he has been so consistent that he could have easily stepped on this year's Olympia stage too if he only competed after the New York Pro this year, because he just beat Sazan Hirati, who won 2 pro shows earlier this year. So the man just has all the tools to be a top 10 guy in any Olympia lineup. But that being said, he will face a much harder, much fierce competition at his next show, the Prague Pro. So he will probably be top 4 there, because he cannot beat a guy like Samson Dauda and Martin Fitzwater. And I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that he might even lose to Keon Pearson. But the mission and the goal that has been accomplished for now, and that was securing his Olympia spot. Before you scroll or blink too hard, have you subscribed yet? Please don't make me bring out the emotional blackmail. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon. It's free, it's painless, and that makes me look way cooler than I actually am. So Sazan Hirati, I think, just made some kind of a history. So this was the 4th time this year where Sazan placed second in an Olympia qualifier. And this has been a very long season for Sazan. But he continues to prove that he is a very consistent bodybuilder. There isn't even a single thing you can say about the conditioning on Sazan. But the fact is, if he is to beat some of these top guys, he needs more mass, he needs more weight, especially in that back area. So massive accomplishment by Juan Pradels, who emerged as the real star after this year's British Grand Prix. So Ian Valier, he had to retract his statement about Juan, as he just said about 1 week back that Juan looks like he's 6 weeks out. But we saw that how Juan from the front, he was pretty much spot on. All of his front shots, they are pretty damn amazing. Now structurally speaking, Juan was undoubtedly the most impressive guy on the stage last night, and that too by a mile. And you have to understand that this took him more than 2 years to get back on a bodybuilding stage, and the insane progress that he made, that was very visible. Hopefully he can develop better hamstrings, better glutes, and he can figure out the right formula to get just as conditioned from the back as he was from the front. And the man has a great future in the open bodybuilding. So his physique exceeded all the expectations, and he was the biggest surprise of this weekend. So James Hollingshead, he came in 5th, and his placing has been a topic of discussion on almost all the bodybuilding media platforms, especially with that coaching change that he made about 1 week back. So he actually looked pretty damn awesome and very impressive in this show. He had those awesome quads, very detailed back, and overall a very balanced package. But he needs to understand something. This is the maximum any coach can offer with his physique. So back in 2020 and 2021, when he was in the winner's circle, we have to understand that was a different era. I'm gonna say an easier era. So James is a multiple times Olympian. And even with him bringing a very impressive overall package, the guy is still struggling to even make top 4 here. So he was 6th at France Pro before the Olympia this year and 5th here, which is pretty much all there is to be said about his future as a men's open competitor. So can he win another pro show? Well, maybe if the lineup that is a bit weak and there are no big names in there. But the problem is that he isn't losing to big names or the veterans of the game. He just lost to a guy like Pablo Lopez, who wasn't even on anyone's radar. So Pablo came in 4th, and he also brought an amazing package here. Now we have to keep in mind, Stefan is an awesome coach, and Chris, whom James was working with for France Pro, he actually has a great track record with Jordan Hutchinson, and he parted ways with both of them. So his fans need to understand that it isn't about the coach For James Hollingshead at this point, as much as I like the guy and respect the guy, he has been one of the most amazing lifter in the sport of bodybuilding. But this is what he can offer with his structure, especially when the lineups are getting so much deeper with every passing year, and these new and young guys, they're coming up very fast. So Mike Sommerfeld finally makes the first public appearance after placing second behind Ramon at the Olympia this year. So the man came under so much scrutiny because of that whole height thing. But still, he delivered such an awesome package, amazing performance at this year's Olympia. Now I think we can all agree that if the judges, they decided in Mike's favor, there would not have been any complaints. After all, there was just 1 point difference between Mike and Ramon. So the irony is that every time the fans, they asked him or his coach that he should go to 212 or the men's open, their response was that Mike's weight, that is already 212 pounds. But now that he has to make the weight cutoff, somewhere in that 204 pounds range, he can actually think about switching over to the 212 or even to the men's open. Because even in the 212, he can weigh about 8 pounds more and come in bigger and bring a better look to the Olympia stage. So Mike is still holding on to supreme conditioning a week after the Olympia. So Tim Budisham will be competing today at the Mexico Pro. And here is Mike posing right next to him. So Mike has that undeniable structure. And now that he has been posting more and more physique updates, and some of them were actually taken days before the Olympia this year, the man went to great lengths to make the weight cutoff, and he was ripped to the bone. So if he chooses to stay in classic physique division, he will actually look a lot better next year at the Olympia because he will be prepared to make the weight cutoff weeks out instead of using some drastic protocols during the peak week to drop 14 pounds. And that is a lot of weight to lose in just 1 week. And that is why I have to say the man looked sensational, considering he had to lose that much weight before the Olympia this year. Ramon, the reigning Classic Physique Olympia champion, he did his first guest posing in Brazil today. So you know how crazy the Brazilian fans are. And that was the case even before Ramon won the Olympia. And now that he has brought home the gold medal, the crowd was crazy to see their absolutely favorite guy on the stage. So this was Ramon, 10 pounds heavier compared to his Olympia stage weight, but still in a great guest posing shape and in an amazing condition, still peeled front to back. And this was the first time in the last few years when Ramon has stayed very much within the striking range of his weight cutoff. And that strategy that worked wonderfully in their favor. So going forward, the high probability is that there will be no changes in the weight cutoffs of classic physique. As the IFBB, they have the stance that if you cannot make the weight cutoff, there is another class for you, which is the men's open. So this title came to Ramon after a lot of hard work, and he will probably go to some great lengths to defend his Olympia title for as long as he possibly can. And him being the biggest ambassador of classic physique right now, that is actually very good for the IFBB too. Just imagine how many more people he will bring. He will inspire in Brazil how much more fans engagement the classic physique will get because of Ramon. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.